The house was silent, but the silence was not peaceful. It felt heavy, suffocating, pressing down like a weight on her chest. The young sat on the edge of the bed, her hands gripping the sheets so tightly her knuckles turned pale. She blinked rapidly, fighting back the sitting in her eyes. She had promised herself no more crying. No more showing him her weakness, but promise were harder to keep when the person you loved most seemed determined to hurt you with every word. Jungkook's voice still ranged in her ears, sharp and caught like shattered glass, stopping so childish. The young every little thing does not need your drama. Grow up already. The words had got deeper than he could imagine. She was not asking for this. Words was not begging for his endless attention, just a little warmth. A little acknowledgement that she exists more than a roommate in his this marriage. Her parents sat arranged, her lips trembled, the bed felt too big, too empty, too cold. She could not bear to lie next to him tonight, not after his harsh man, so she kept her pillow, hugged it against her chest, and walked out of the bedroom without a word. The couch in the living room was not comfortable. The cushion sagged and the blanket she pulled from the clothes fairly covered her. But these were better than being beside someone whose back had become a wall of ice. She curled into herself, whispering into the silence. Maybe it's better this way. The chill woke her before the sun did. Her head felt heavy, her throat sketchily chick of softly pulling the blanket closer, but it was no use. The night air had seeped into her bones. Her body ached as she stood the room, spinning for a second. She pressed her hand to her forehead, hot, burning hot fever, but she did not complain. Why would she? Jungkook would not care. He had probably tell her it was her fault for sleeping outside, dragging her feet. She was to the kitchen. The clock showed 7:10 a.m. Jungkook would be leaving for work soon. She automatically reached for the frying pan, cracked 2 eggs, and started making his breakfast. Her hands trembled as she worked, her vision blurring from the fever. She almost dropped the pan when a deep voice stared her from behind. What are you doing up so early? Jungkook stood at the doorway, his tie loose around his neck, his brows frowned. He looked as flawless as always, messy dark hair, sharp jaw and eyes that could be too still, but right now his gaze was undeniable. Making breakfast, the young whispered her voice source. He noticed his brows knit tighter. Your voice, what's wrong with it? Nothing, she lied. Forcing a weak smile, she placed his plate on the table and turned away quickly, not sweating him to see how pale she looked. By Jungkook's eyes leaning on her, something felt off. Her movements were slower, her shoulders stretched, her skin almost translucent. He opened his mouth to say something, but she had already walked away, retreating into the bedroom. By the time Jungkook returned home that evening, the house was unequivocally quiet. No sound of the TV, no clicking of dishes, no hymning of the young soft voice as she usually busied herself with chores. The young Sika losing his child to answer. He checked the kitchen, empty, the living room, silent. Finally, he pushed open the bedroom door. She was curled under the blanket, her face flushed red, her lips dry. Beads of sweat covered her forehead. Jungkook froze the young. He rushed to her side, pressing a hand against her forehead. His heart dropped. She was burning. Jamon, he muttered, guilt floating his chest. He shook her gently. Why did not you tell me you were sick? Her eyelids flitted open weakly. It's nothing, just a cold. A cold, his voice rose, but not in anger this time. In panic, you are burning up, Taehyung. She turned her face away, whispering in a trembling voice, don't worry, I will manage, I always do. The worst bit seems always to as if she had been not to accept anything from him. Jungkook swallowed charge. He had been cold distance, thinking he was protecting himself from feelings he was not ready to face, but seeing her like this, fragile and hurting, something inside his cracked without wasting another second. He fetched a bowl of cold water, shaking a drop and pressing it gently against her forehead. Her eyes went slightly. Jungkook, you don't have to shut up. He outed off, his voice low but trembling. Just let me take care of you. The night was long. Jungkook stayed by her side, changing the towel every hour, feeding her medicine carefully, whispering softly whenever she stressed in discomfort. At some point, she grabbed his wrist weakly. Why are you being nice now? The question made his chest tighten. He lowered his gaze, unable to meet her eyes because I was a jerk. Because I yelled at you when all you found was me just slipped from the corners of her eyes. You don't love me, Jungkook. I know that, but you don't have to make me feel so unwanted. His thought constricted he wanted to carry it, wanted to say the word out loud, but fear still changed his tongue. Instead, he brushed his hair back gently. I never meant to hurt you. Thought keeping my distance would make things easier, but I was wrong. You're my wife, Taehyung, and I. He pushed his voice, breaking. I can't stand seeing you like this. Her eyes softened, exhaustion pulled her back to sleep, but a faint smile cut on her lips. When the young waked the next morning, the fever had listened. She blinked at the sight before her. Jungkook slumped in the chair beside the bed, his head resting on the mattress, still holding her hand. Her heart had she looked so peaceful, so variable in his sleeves, not the cold, untouchable man she had married, but someone human, someone who cared even if he did not know how to show it. She squeezed his hand gently, his eyes flickered open, and the moment he saw her awake, relief rushed over his face. You are awake, he breathed. How are you feeling? Better, she whispered. Thanks to you. He shook his head. Thanks to you for not giving up on me even when I did not deserve your patience. For the first time in weeks, his gaze was not cold, it was warm, almost tender. The young he said softly, his tremble brushing against her hand. I can't promise I will be perfect, but I promise I will try. I don't want you to ever feel like you are alone in this marriage again. Tears welled in her eyes, but this time they were not from pain. She noticed smiling frankly. There's all I waited, Jacob, just for you to try. He leaned forward, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. Then I will try, Avache. Weeks later, the house did not feel so suffocating anymore. Jungkook still had his cold moment, still struggled to express himself, but there was effort. Now small touches of ours, late night talks where silence was not heavy but comfortable. And sometime when the young chased his about that night on the couch, Jungkook would scold and pull her closer, muttering, "You are never sleeping away from me again." She would laugh her heart full, knowing that sometimes love did not arrive like a storm. It bloomed quietly, slowly but deeply, and for them it was just beginning. The end.